Thank you so much for being here. My name is Carol. Welcome to Salt&Light Family Night. Tonight, we're going to talk about, we have two wonderful families that are going to share their journey with us in raising special children. And I'm Carol. I have got two children. My older one is 18 years old. My younger one is 15. I'm very glad to be able to raise them with my husband, Albert. Alex?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Alex, and our children are a bit younger. We've got three, two boys, ages 8 and 7, and a girl, age 5, although she does behave like a teenager sometimes. I'm homeschooling dad in the mornings. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to build relationships and train our children. And in the afternoons, I'm growing as an impact investor.
Tonight, we have two wonderful families sharing their stories with us. We have Isabelle and Jacqueline. Isabelle is a wonderful photographer, and she's going to share her work with you later and her journey. We also have Jeff and Tammy. They are parents to a 12-year-old Josiah. And so we're going to have a wonderful time having a conversation about raising God's special children. Tonight's conversation, we are very thankful that we have a big group of us coming together for tonight's conversation. And so we would encourage us to go to the tool called slido.com. That's where we'll be depositing our questions. You can also vote on one another's questions or comment or reply to one another's questions or comments as well, so that the chat can be freer and we can focus on the conversation better. So if I could invite you, if you have another machine, your phone with you, for example, you can scan the QR code. It would bring you to the tool Slido, okay, and then you would be able to see the screen, that the tool that you're going to use for the poll, okay, and for the questions. If you have one device, you can just go to another tab. You would still be able to hear us. Go to another tab and go to slido.com, and you would enter the event code called Family Night, and it should bring you there. Okay, and now if you are there, you should be able to see a poll, right? So let me just show you the poll live. You should be able to see on your phone the poll. Okay, hang on, just let me bring you to the poll. Okay. Right, so this is just a quick poll for us to find out. There are now 75 of us in this room. Let's find out who else is in the room with us. If you have just joined us, welcome to Salt&Light Family Night. We are now using a tool called Slido to do a quick poll to help us understand who else is in the room with us. If you see the QR code on the top left, you can scan the QR code and it will bring you into the tool. Right? If you have got one device, go to another tab, go to slido.com. The event code is Family Night, and you'll be able to see, go to the poll tab, and you should be able to see this poll. Thank you for the 34 of us that have indicated. So majority of us have children who have special needs. Some are none of these, perhaps, okay, maybe later we can invite, we have got different reasons why we are here. Some of us are church workers supporting children with special needs. Right. Okay, thank you so much. There are 42 who have responded. Thank you. So that's how we use the tool Slido. And you would see next to the poll tab in Slido is the Q&A tab, okay? And if you tap on the Q&A tab, you would already see one question in there. Keep the question coming as we hear the sharing of both the families. Feel free to just pop a question there anytime, okay? All right, and let me just go back to my slide. And Alex, over to you.
Sure. When I was part of a Pentecostal church, there was quite an emphasis placed on physical healing. And speaking with parents with children of special needs, it seems like the well-meaning intention of the church to claim healing on their behalf can be even more overwhelming. Yet, even though it is a fact that Jesus was and is a healer, we must know of many people who did not actually receive that physical healing. Our guests and their stories have touched so many people out there, very much including myself. And that's a testament to the fact that God's glory is not only intact, but in fact, may have surpassed what comes with a physical healing. And they are here tonight to share their stories, which are filled with God's faithfulness. We like to begin every family night with scripture, and I cannot help but have a strong sense of its truth in the lives of Josiah, Tammy and Jeff's son, and Isabelle. For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. The psalmist writes in Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14. So, if we can just get the conversation going, I'd like to perhaps pose the first question to Tammy and Jeff. How has your journey been like as Josiah's parents, and how is he similar and different from other children? Maybe you can give us some background about Josiah's condition.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us here. For Jeff and myself, like how has our journey been as Josiah's parents, if I can say in one word, I would say it's epic. It's like I feel as if like it's like some sort of a movie with all the elements, of like the tremendous struggle, the challenges, it's like the feeling of as if like near hopelessness and then incredible encounter with God. And then after that, it's like just being brought from a very dark place, into a place where there's just so much hope, so much light, and it's like and so much purpose. So I suppose epic would be one way to describe it.
I love it.
Well, so like Alex introduced us, right? That we have a 12-year-old child whose name is Josiah. And I remember when he was born, it's like when the first time I looked at him, I heard, not really an audible voice, but I heard in my spirit something like, what a beautiful child. And it's like I was like, wow, it's like I was like so moved even at this hearing this, and then I realized that was actually one of my first encounters with God, even the moment Josiah was born. It's like, and that was God actually like telling me just how much he delighted in Josiah the moment he was born, and giving me the assurance of that. And we love our son, and he's really very cute, and even now I think he's still very cute as a 12-year-old cheeky little fellow. And so as we were bringing him up in his toddler years and all, being first-time parents, it's like we don't really know, we're like just winging it along the way every day. But the thing is that we were noticing things like that he was becoming being different, different from the children of his age, of his age, from his peers, in the sense that he seemed to be very aloof, unaware that we were calling him, and pretty much in his own world. And so at age 2, we brought him to a doctor, and that was when he was formally diagnosed with autism. Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we found him diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old, and that was actually when it started to get really, really difficult. It's like the diagnosis landed on me. It felt like a death sentence. It's like it crushed me. It crushed us. It crushed me. And then it's like I went into a very, very dark period. Of swinging between fear, hopelessness, to really doing all kinds of things within my ability to help my son, and to burn out. And so it was a very, very challenging period, very, very of great struggle, because like it seemed that no matter what I was doing, I was not getting it right. And it makes it worse that Josiah is non-verbal, meaning to say that he was unable to express his needs or his difficulty. And so because of that, he was frustrated all the time, and he would express his frustration by knocking his head against the wall, like that kind of thing, or knocking his head against the floor, you know. And I think for any parent to be able to witness that and not be able to bring a stop to it, right, is very, very distressing. So it was very distressing for me and Jeff. You know, it's like we were trying our best, but we didn't understand what he was going through, and we didn't understand what he was trying to say to us, you know. So that was just some of the things that we faced. Yeah. And yeah. So in terms of, so because of that, I became the full-time caregiver. So I was with him pretty much all the time, and Jeff was the sole breadwinner. So because of that, right, and I think all the special parents here will also agree with me that, you know, wanting to raise a special needs child in Singapore is really very, very expensive, you know. I mean, I'm thankful that there's a lot of resources right now, a lot more than a few years ago. But during that time when Josiah was like 3 or 4, it's like we could scarcely afford, you know, the therapy that was needed. You know, and at that point of time, a lot of schools were not able to accept Josiah. So in a way, we were pretty much like having to try to figure out how to go at it, and was very, very difficult, very difficult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have anything to add?
Both of us were missionaries. You know?
Oh wow.
Before we
yeah. So basically, even after our missionary life, Josiah probably traveled more than any kid. I mean, he started stamping passports. I think what at the age, I think a few months he went to Thailand. So the thing is probably for us as a church, Soakability, we seen a lot of breakthrough in healing. Cancer, HIV, we've seen HIV getting healed and stuff. And probably you might say possibly we are maybe more or less known for that. And I'm the pastor. And the thing is, so how you navigate around like seeing people are healed and coming home and still contending for healing for your son. That's something that we need to navigate. And I'm the more optimistic one between the both of us.
Thank God for him.
So I'm the more, he's born this way, but he's formed before he was born. He was formed another way. So my goal is to see how God forms him rather than he born this way. Yes, I understand, but there's something about how God forms him. So we keep contending for healing for people. Other people get healed. It's also for us to rejoice. You know, we come back, we celebrate the victory that's outside. We come back, we try again. So that has been our journey, and so it's very interesting. We need to navigate around faith, and when we are back home, we need to navigate around disappointment also at the same time. So
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about where Josiah is today, how old he is, and how he's like at home?
So Josiah is 12 now, and actually he's a very, very sweet child. He's a very sweet child. He has come a long way. You know, it's like right now I would say that he's a happy child. I think that's the most. Everybody who knows him would agree with me. It's like that he is full of joy. He's a very, very joyful boy. Very cheeky, you know. But apparently all his teachers love him. They love him. They find him so cute. They find him so cheeky, and because of that, you know, he gets away with sometimes doing naughty stuff. But the thing is, but at the same time, he is brilliant. Even though at this point of time, he is still somewhat pre-verbal, and we are doing our best to try to help him to communicate. So, but he can say some words right now, and we're trying to get him to use his iPad to communicate with us. And because of that, right? I mean, he is in a much better place right now, like less prone to tantrums, and every other day surprising us with a glimpse of brilliance, of the brilliance that's within him. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff and Tammy, for sharing. And we will come back to you to share more about the details about Josiah's life and also the schooling decisions. I think there are some questions already in Slido about in mainstream school or special needs school. But before we go into that, may I invite now Isabelle and Jacqueline. Isabelle and Jacqueline, Isabelle is with us. Isabelle is 26 years old and she has Nager Syndrome. Not sure whether I pronounced it properly, but if I could invite Jacqueline to share with us a little bit more about what that is, and perhaps then after that we can invite Izzy to share her journey growing up. Jacqueline?
Okay, great. Hi. Hi, I'm Jackie. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us for tonight's chat. Let me get my notes here. I'll read from my notes. I just prepared. There's too much in my head. Okay, Isabelle is born with Nager Syndrome, a rare condition. We raised Isabelle up as a regular kid and believing she can do all things but hear. She is a happy, curious, very teachable, and a fighter. After all the crying at the hospital on the day she was born, both hubby and myself decided to love her unconditionally and do our best because Isabelle is a child from God and she is the perfect gift from God. She has taught us to trust God, and every day in raising her up and believing that God will continue to provide us the strength to nurture and raise her. Isabelle stayed in the hospital for close to 8 months upon birth. We bonded with her every day at the hospital, feeding and caring for her. Daddy would come after work to carry Isabelle to sleep before we leave for home. So he will rock her 200 times before putting her down. He literally counts. These were the memories that we created with Isabelle, even though she was confined to the hospital room. They are precious moments. After she was discharged, we had many weekly hospital visits for checkups and even therapy sessions. This continued for several months. On days that we do not have medical checkup, we will spend our time stimulating her through play. Hubby and I learned and taught her sign language as communication is key. Okay, this is Isabelle's story. From Isabelle, growing up, I learned about praying from a young age. Before every surgery, my family and I would say a prayer. All I knew about God was that He will always be with me, and all the time because He won't forsake me. As I grew older and started studying, I learned the power of relying on God for strength when my faith was shaken. Also to celebrate when I overcame something like when I failed history in my mid-year exam, but scored for it during my N-levels by changing my mindset towards studying a boring subject thanks to my father's pep talk. Saying a prayer before every test or exam helped calm my nerves. In my prayer, I told God, God, I've done my part by studying. You do the rest. You are in control of my hands. May the answers speak to my hands as I write them down. God has also sent me tutors to help me in my studies. Okay, stop. Okay, to add a little bit in my struggles, while I was in ITE, I had no interpreters for my first year. So it was really hard. It was a big transition from secondary school where I had resource teachers who interpreted lessons for me. And in my first year in ITE, I had no interpreters. Okay. So it was the same like a silent movie that I attended class every day. So it was really hard. And it pulled down all my grades. So I had, say again. So it also tested my faith in God. So thankfully, in my second year, the school provided an interpreter, and God sent me many tutors for me to catch up. Even though with technology, instead of going, say again, sorry. Although I didn't get into Polytechnic, I got into LaSalle, College of the Arts, because God opened that door for me to study art photography. So moving to LaSalle, we become concerned about the school fees. God sent a scholarship called the Dare to Dream Scholarship for the special needs, children with special needs, who financed my course. LaSalle was also where many projects really challenged my thinking and my faith. I learned to allow God even more into my life. Having a personal relationship with God, other than just panic praying when trouble comes, I shouldn't take God for granted. Many projects were inspired by conversations with God during the nights when I couldn't sleep, because I was wrestling over how I did for each project. I am actually an overthinker. My prayers had turned more conversational as I matured in my faith. Moving into my career, I still put God in the center of every shoot. God has always been the one who is my driver, driving me around the event, guiding me what to shoot. Mom has always told me, if God chose the event for me, that means I can overcome it. It's something I can handle.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Would you like to share with the audience a little bit more about what your career is now?
Yeah.
Would you like me to show your website?
You want to show the website? Okay, yes.
And then you can talk it through if you like. These are done by Isabelle. Would you like to share a little bit about your work?
You can click on portraits.
Portraits?
Yes.
Okay.
And family, yeah.
Family?
Because of the COVID-19, so most of her corporate events have been cancelled, and she was prepping to move into family portraits, pre-weddings, and maternity portraits. So these are some of the family portraits that we have done just before COVID, maybe one or two after phase 2 was open. Yes. My strength in photography is to bring the candid and the beauty and love of each and every family. And photography, I lost photography in accounting, yeah, because there was no interpreters. But photography gave me new joy. And it reminded me, I realized the joy in learning. So photography, yeah, taking photos is like a must because I hide myself behind the camera and my image does not show my disability. Yes.
I just love how she's got so much to say and she's so alive and
yes. So when it comes to photography talk, she has a lot to say and share.
she has nothing to hide.
Okay. She said now she will let others speak.
I
Thank you
see
for
some of the
sharing with
audience
us.
clapping
Izzy.
for you, Isabelle. Sorry to jump in. Yeah, I saw some of them clapping for you. And yeah, if you, yeah, you can turn on your camera and wave and encourage Isabelle. Yeah, she's such an amazing photographer. Yeah, Isabelle, do you see that?
And I love the way you guys interact, Jacqueline and Izzy. You have a beautiful relationship.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll let Izzy and Jacqueline take a break, and we'll go to Tammy and Jeff. One of the questions that came through on Slido is from a parent with a special needs child, hoping to find out how she or he can help to support his child or her child to bring him up with confidence and strong emotional support. So I wonder whether you can share, as parents to Josiah through the years, especially when they were difficult, how you overcame those days and how you chose to plot on to encourage parents with children with special needs here amongst us.
Okay, so I will share how I coped and how I found strength. So when in Josiah's school, I managed, God introduced me to some moms who were also believers, and were saying that, okay, while we're waiting for our children, maybe let's spend the time and let's pray, and let's strengthen each other in prayer, and actually that was the transforming point for myself, because it's like it was during this time that I would say that these prayer times with these mummies, right, was a lifeline for me. I didn't realize, just how much I needed it. So and when we came together, it's like what happened is that we would mummies being mummies, I don't know about the daddies, but the mummies, when we came together, we always had so much to say. It was, I guess it's kind of like a support group, informal parent support group. So we always had so much to say about the difficulties and things like that. And then we realized that, oh no, we had spent so much time talking that we only have like such little time left to pray. So we said, okay, let's pray. And we said, okay, we need to do that better next time. So Singaporean being Singaporean, very efficient, right? So I actually I took out my timer. Here we'll pray, and we will put a timer so that we will make sure that we cover each child in prayer, and ideally each mummy in prayer as well. And it was during this time that actually God really, really spoke to me and revealed things that I hadn't seen before. And in a way, God rescued me during this time of prayer. It's like actually God showed me things that I was not able to see in Josiah, because actually I was in so much pain. I didn't even realize it. And God showed me things right through His eyes that brought such a shift in me. Brought me to a place of rest, from a place of striving and a place of distress. And I think that this is something that I feel is important, for every caregiver. It's like that we would come to a place where we are able to receive from God. And I feel that that's important, because I realized that, if in order for me to even see how God was bringing breakthroughs and healing and in Josiah, I realized that I had to let God heal my own heart first, and because pain actually is like a blindfold. It prevents you from seeing what's really happening, because it's like that all you see is pain. And so that was one thing. Prayer, I feel that's such a powerful thing in terms of showing us things that we were not able to see before, as well as giving us wisdom. And it was in these prayer times that the Lord actually gave me a lot of practical wisdom in terms of how to be able to relate to Josiah, how to help him in different ways. So I would say one of the best ways I can encourage caregivers is that if you can find, a friend or two to pray together with on a regular basis, it's like it will do wonders.
Wonderful. Tammy, does anything come to mind in terms of some of this wisdom that that has come, ideas that have come from the time you have sought the Lord in actually caring for Josiah day to day?
Sure. Like one way was that God in this prayer time, somehow he showed me, he gave me an image of how Josiah is like if I speak to him in a very loud tone or very harsh, angry, scolding tone. It's like the image I saw when I was praying is that inside there was like, it was quivering and inside of him, like, and it appeared to be like a destabilizing force. And then God actually showed me that when I interact with Josiah, I need to be mindful of the way that I speak to him. You know, it's like, because I didn't realize that I don't know. I don't consider myself as a tiger mom, but maybe I'm not aware of that. That when I was speaking to Josiah, we are laughing. Sometimes I'm too strong in my tone and too loud. You know, it's because I maybe it's because like I have this experience in the past that he wasn't listening to me because of the autism. He wasn't aware that I was speaking to him, so I tend to raise my volume out. And then it's like God was showing to me that, hey, whatever you're doing, right, this tone and the words that you use and the volume is not actually helping Josiah. It's actually causing him to sort of like not regress, but it's like be in shock kind of, and he has to take time to recover from that loud tone and those words, that the kind of words that you use. So when I realized, I said, oh dear, poor Josiah, all this time I thought that I was helping him, but I was like doing the opposite. So when God showed me that, I really tried to change the way I spoke to him, and it was great. It worked like the other way, like
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tammy. Maybe I'll go to Jacqueline with a similar sort of question. You know, Jacqueline, let's rewind 26 years, right? Nager syndrome, as it is extremely rare today. You mentioned something like between 200 to 300 diagnosed cases worldwide. And 26 years ago, with no internet, and when we spoke, you were saying so little resource available. How did you cope?
I think first of all, we accepted Isabelle for who she is, and both hubby and myself decided that we will just love her unconditionally. And we are very thankful for family members who have came forward, who have loved her and given us help when we needed and support too. Friends came forward, and we are also very grateful that the hospital, the nurses, the doctors showed us a lot of care. Even though we don't have much resources to turn to, God has also sent friends to us with little information, and we tried to reach out to them through the snail mail to get information how to help. But at the same time, even when resources were limited, God was providing us help by sending us good doctors and nurses, friends who may have someone who we can contact for help. At the same time, what would I say? We just went along because we also saw Isabelle very much like a regular child, just that she had some medical issues. She cannot breathe well, she cannot eat well, she cannot hear, she has fused elbows. But that aside, we saw her as a child first. So we tried to do things that any parent would do with a regular child. We will talk to her, we will carry her, we will sing to her even when she cannot hear our songs. So we used a lot of facial expression. We showed her love through our hugs, through our time and our play. And through all this, she was very responsive. And she showed us that she was very willing to learn. She was she kept asking, I mean, you could see in her eyes, like, teach me more, I want to learn more, you know, and simple signs that we taught her, she was able to reciprocate. So that gave us the joy to teach her, and we could see that she was growing from strength to strength in her little ways. So little things that she can do, even if she could sign something simple, we found joy in that, and we would celebrate it in little ways. Yeah. So that also encouraged her that she was loved, she was accepted, and she was beautiful in our eyes. So God gave us that love in our heart to accept her, to love her, and the strength to carry on, even though the challenges were there, because having breathing issues, she had tubes in both her nostril, one for her feet and the other for her breathing. Every night, every 2-3 hours, we have to wake up in the middle of the night, and we have to do some suctioning to clean any crust in the tubes so that she's able to breathe well through the night. So these were some of the struggles that we went through. But her being cheerful, that gave us that strength to carry on.
Thanks, Jacqueline. If I could ask Isabelle, how has the church come alongside you in your growing years? And would there be anything that you want to tell, like the church body, on how to support other special needs children or youth?
Special needs Sunday school. Church supported me and my family when I was growing up. They celebrated every little, every milestone, okay, that I overcame. They also prayed, okay. They are also prayer warriors that were praying for us. And so also it taught me to pray by reading the Bible in a simple way. So when it changed my life, so when I went into ministry for the hearing impaired, I went to the youth ministry, sorry, okay. It taught me deeper about God, how I could move mountains with my faith. And also helped me to be independent, because it included hearing people. In my Sunday school was more for special needs. It was too comfortable for her to stay on. So when I was in a cell group, I realized the power of of prayer, or a prayer mate, okay, a prayer buddy who prayed for each other, that supported us through prayer. We went through discussions that helped in our discussions. So I didn't have that when I was in the special needs Sunday school. Something like that.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just give some background.
Yep.
Because when we worship in Wesley Methodist Church, and Isabelle has been attending a special needs Sunday school at the age of 4. So right up to about 16, I think, then she decided it was time to leave the special Sunday school because the things that they teach were very basic for her. So she decided to move on to the youth ministry, even though she was the only deaf girl, and some of her friends who knew how to interpret would have to help out, and those who cannot interpret for her will do note taking for her. So she learned to move on to the youth ministry. And then from there, she now joins us in the adult ministry, where there are also a ministry for the hearing impaired, where we have interpreters for sermons and for worship. So she joins us on Sundays.
Right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It's such a blessing to have people come alongside you to pray with you and, grow together. It's such a blessing. Thank you for sharing it, Easy. Yeah. And if I could ask Pastor Jeff, how you lead a church and you were a missionary, how has the church supported your journey as a father, and now that you lead a church, how has your experience made a difference in how you set your church up in terms of, are there any special considerations in terms of support for special needs children or youth? And what advice would you give to the larger church body?
I think there definitely has to have more education. Like, well, when my church is not that big, so everybody knows Josiah. So he'll run up the stage, and nobody will no usher will come and drag him down, so because everybody knows Josiah. So, but early days, even like well-intended leaders and Christians, I'm sure most of you parents have that with autistic kids that have that. They tell it's the diet, broccoli, which I hate, Kangen water, some kind of dietary pills, well-meaning advice. It's all well-meaning advice. I mean, if I listen to all of them, I'll be like a drug junkie. My Josiah will be eating pills for the rest of his life. And sometimes, I mean, after 1 or 2 years of like well-intended people talking to us about it, right? You probably almost heard 90% of the things that they're going to tell you. So there's really nothing more new under the sun. So the point is how you navigate around well-intended people, like because sometimes it's discouraging, because one more advice is also telling you that you're not doing enough if you don't kind of take it constructively. And so that's why a lot of parents, for those of you who are in church and you're in church workers, my advice is, the best thing for the parents is for you to be there and say, hey, we are with you. How can we serve you? Rather than to recommend the next dietary like supplements and stuff, We heard it all the time. Even if I'm a pastor and so many people can come and tell me all these things, right? I can't imagine if you are a church attendee and we go to a cell group, because sometimes they don't need that. Sometimes they just need someone to listen and just stand with them, and that's really all that is. Because when a child is in trouble, when a child is like in chaos, right? No dietary supplement is going to help them. No magic pill is going to keep them. Suddenly they eat it, and then suddenly everything comes down. We as autistic parents, right? Dealing with autism, right? It's all our life is trying to understand what is behind that chaos, right? And he's reacting because of certain chaos, and our whole life is trying to interpret a non-verbal language. It could require us to understand what he's trying to respond to, and and sometimes it's just no shortcut. And I would really encourage, if you are leaders and you're listening in and you're full time, and you know what, sometimes compassion, love is the greatest gift. Prophecy might fail, healing might not happen, but love is the greatest gift. And if you can give, we pray. And they are, I mean, we as a church, we pray for a lot of healing, and hundreds of people have been praying for Josiah. They'll come and they will have a lot of faith and they'll pray. I say, welcome, you're welcome to. I mean, they try all different ways. Anointing oil, cast out demons. I mean, it's like a circus sometimes, you know, it comes, they do all different methods, but eventually, like, the boy is not a project. The boy is not a project for you to discover what's wrong with him. The boy is to be loved. The kid is supposed to be loved rather than to figure out something that is wrong with him. And when prophecy will fail, I mean, Corinthians, right? In 13, like, everything will fail, but if everything doesn't work, just fall back into love. And there has to be awareness. And compassion is one of the greatest things that you can give a parent dealing with an autistic kid. Yeah, so that would be my advice to the church workers.
Awesome, thank you. Tammy, anything to add there?
Sure. I think that what has really helped in our church is that, I mean, like what Jeff mentioned, because we are a small group and everybody knows Josiah. So it's like actually Josiah is feels very loved and very welcome and accepted in church. You know, it's like and actually these are his friends, because honestly in his school, because like most of the kids, right, they are still learning, you know, how to be more sociable and understand social things. So it's like Josiah's friends are all the kids and adults in church who like, hi Josiah. And it's like what has been really helpful is like that we have a family of people in church that's helping to look out for him. So it's like, in a way, it gives us, me and Jeff, a bit of respect so that we know that there's someone sort of like aware, okay, he's over there, like if I can't find him, say, oh, he's over there, he's actually by the drum set, or he went to the toilet, and that people are looking out for him. What has also really helped is that people have helped in practical ways. You know, it's like because they know that we have so much on our plate. People actually have sent us food. People have cooked for us, and they know that it's a very lonely journey sometimes, because being a special needs parent. So there have been friends, right, who say that, Tammy, I'm just going to come with you. I'll just go with you wherever you're going to go with Josiah. I'll just come alongside with you, just so that, you know, you have somebody to talk to, even as you're going about the therapy or whatever. And that has helped me tremendously, because it's like I'm not just a special needs mom. You know, it's like I was a friend and a sister and a daughter even before I became a special needs mom. And it's really nice that people remember that and willing to go the distance with me. Yeah.
Thank you. Jacqueline, you know, when we spoke, you also detailed, as you were telling us about Nager Syndrome, one of it was actually feeding difficulties, right? For about 5 to 8 years, Izzy had to go through some feeding therapies. And then later on, there was something done. And at the age of 12, she was finally able to take some solids. Before that, it was mainly milk and porridge. So can you help us understand that grit, you know, that persistence? What was your mindset all through those years, day after day, of persisting through?
For me, I think my end goal was to help Isabelle to eventually eat, because she had a button at her stomach for her feet, because the doctor says that as a child, when you're growing up, you shouldn't, for the confidence sake, that we shouldn't have a feeding tube coming out of her nostril. So when she had her first major operation, we did her jaw, the distraction of both her jaws, and we put a feeding button at the tummy so we could feed her through the tube. That lasted about from 2 to 8 years old. She was feeding through the tube. But from the age of 6, we started proper feeding therapy after she had the go ahead from the feeding therapist that she's able to swallow and it goes down to the stomach. So she had to take the different texture of from milk, water, and gradually to porridge. Let me see, from that on, once she was able to take her full milk feeds and her porridge feeds orally, the button at the stomach was eventually closed at the age of 8. So from 8 all the way to 12, she continuously take her milk and her porridge, which was a little inconvenient for her because during school camps, she will have to bring along extra milk for that few days, and I will have to freeze pack her porridge for her to bring along, and she'll put them into the freezer and then into the microwave to warm up for her feeds. At the age of 12, one day in the afternoon, she told me, can I try the chicken rice that you're eating? So I said, sure, why not? And she ate them slowly, drinking water to make sure that she's able to swallow it properly. And she slowly finished the whole plate of rice. So that was a big achievement. And she said, Mom, I think I want to eat chicken rice every day for the rest of my life. I think that was something that was, oh, not yet. Oh, continue. So she said that, she said that she could eat that every day. So slowly when she went to school, she would look at what the canteen would serve that she's able to eat. And she'll be the first one to run out of class when the bell rings for recess, so she could get her food and quickly eat it as fast as possible. And slowly she said, Mom, I only need to bring my milk to school so I could drink that in the bus, so I don't need my recess food. So in the morning, she will take her milk. Recess, she will have some food from the canteen. Then she'll drink her bottle of milk on her way home, then come back for a bit of lunch. Yes, you had your milk in the bus. No milk? Oh, she'll change that to a banana instead. She says lighter. She decided to carry less food. Yeah, so she wanted to eat like what her friends were eating rather than bringing her milk and her porridge. Yeah. Because, yeah, her books were also very heavy. In secondary school, there were 9 subjects. Yeah. And books were all very, very thick.
Thank you for...
It says my favorite food. Okay. So her favorite food is chicken rice. Okay.
Not chicken rice.
Still chicken rice, but I think after maybe 2 months or 3 months down the road, she said, I think I'm tired of chicken rice now. I need to find another food to eat. So she'll try different things like maybe fish soup or fried rice, something that she's able to eat quickly also.
So what's your favorite food now?
What's your favorite food now? Quite a lot of things, especially, but non-spicy food. So she likes like lasagna. She likes bulgogi. So actually everything.
Yummy.
Everything.
Thank you. Now, if I could shift the conversation to how perhaps the couples, like Jacqueline, yourself, how has having the Isabelle's and raising her through these years impacted you as a mother and a wife? How does it impact your marriage when you are raising Isabelle under such difficult and challenging circumstances?
I think it brought us closer because I could not have raised her up alone. We needed to do a lot of things together. Like both of us will learn sign language together so that as the main caregivers, we are able to communicate with her. And because Nick had to work in the day, So I will have to bring her for her therapy sessions. Come back, I will fill him in. So sometimes when I'm busy, then he will take over play time with her, take her to the park, spending time. So we shared equally the duties of raising her up. So and we supported each other because there are times when we feel like it's a crossroad, like when we had to decide if we should go for a major op at the age of 2, what is the risk? So we will have to support each other. We will have to pray about it and making sure that it is a joint decision in everything that we do. So, and I think that the special time that we had was when we had to bring Isabelle for her first major op. We stayed in Australia for 4 to 5 months. It's just Nick, which is hubby, and myself, and just Isabelle. So we had to do everything, raising her, laundry, cooking, everything. It's just 3 of us. Whereas here we had family, so that drew us closer to each other and also depending on God along the way.
Thanks for sharing, Jacqueline. Yeah, really the being close together helps to journey together in that sense. Thank you for sharing. If I could ask Jeff and Tammy the same question, how has it impacted or affected your marriage in any way? Would you like to share?
I guess it really helps that it's like both of us, right? We were missionaries a long time ago, but Jeff travels a lot and does ministry. So the thing is that both of us, right, we pursue God so much, and we are also very involved in leading the church, so it helps that we are in a mission together in that sense. And now we have Josiah is part of our mission team, and I feel that like and because Jeff was traveling a lot to do ministry in different countries before the COVID hit, so and sometimes he would actually bring Josiah and myself along, just so that we could spend some time together. And I really, really appreciate that. And because of that, I feel that traveling together, having the opportunity to travel together, really brought the family closer together. And Josiah was able to enjoy time with his dad, in different countries, different settings. So that was one of the things that we thank God for the opportunity to do together as a family. Jeff?
Yeah. I think I calculated, I think we did 6 trips together. I mean, I'm going there to do ministry, so they have to fly me there. So kind of my ticket is settled, so I just need to settle the other 2. So that kind of covered the cost and all the stuff. So I intentionally brought them. So that's why he his passport probably runs out faster. Like, I mean, he's probably the kid that during his age, he's traveled the most. And so, yeah, it's intentional. You have to create memory stones. I mean, Israel, every time when there's God did something, they always put a memorial or a stone so to have them remember. So you have to intentionally create the events for your family, like as memory stones, so that you can remember. There's something to hold on to, So those 6-7 trips a year is the intentional things that we do together, just to create memory stones in our family. So yeah, but yeah, it's challenging, but it's fun. I don't love him. I love him the way he is. That's not accepting defeat. I love him the way he is, not who he's going to be. And if I try to love him who he's going to be, I will be disappointed every day. But I love him the way he is, and only in that then I start to learn to enjoy him. If you love a person because of what he's going to be in the future, whatever you are going through with a person is suffering because you are looking for an end product and it's not happening. And the goal is to see him through God's eyes and just love him the way he is. And from that, you learn to enjoy him. So, yeah.
Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Jacqueline, you had mentioned also something about looking forward and not backward. Something that you and Nick had purposed in your heart to do. To always be looking forward instead of looking backwards and then blaming yourselves on this and that. But instead of doing that, you always choose to keep your eyes focused ahead. Can you share a bit about that? Because I think it's quite an encouragement to the parents and audience here as well.
Like I said earlier on, I only feel, or I choose to see that Isabelle is able to do everything but hear. So I've always seen her as a regular child. Despite her disabilities, her medical condition, she is still a child after all. And God perhaps shown me many positive sides of her, like she's very cheery, she's very lovable, she returns your love, she's very joyful. So that is how God is, a God of love, a God of joy. And that is perhaps his strength for us. At the same time, rather than to see like, oh, Isabelle cannot eat well, Isabelle cannot breathe, Isabelle cannot hear, but there are things that I can focus on where through surgery, Isabelle was able to breathe. If she continues with her therapy, she will be able to eat eventually. So I think I've always put that end result to encourage me and to encourage her that that she is able, rather than to see that she is unable. So for me, I'm very encouraged when she can do little things because how we taught her language, we will print out photos and I will point to the photos and I will sign like, this is daddy, this is mommy, and I'll get her to call us through sign language. When you see your child signing in return by recognizing the photo and she's able to say daddy or mommy, it's like her voice telling you, calling you daddy and mommy. So these are the little joys. It's just that I don't hear her voice, but that is her way of communicating with me. So little things we celebrate rather than to compare her with a regular child, like, oh, this child can do this, mine cannot. It'll be too depressing. Yeah, so I chose to see it differently, like God has created her wonderfully, and I try to see her through God's eyes.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. At this point, I would invite anyone who wants to ask our guests questions directly. You can indicate a raise hand in the participants panel. Okay, you can press a button called raise hands. We'll be able to see it and then you can unmute and ask your question. Okay, if anyone wants to talk to Isabelle directly or any of our guests directly, okay, you can raise hand or you can perhaps indicate in the chat as well. Okay, but in the meantime, perhaps I would ask a question that came up in Slido to the parents. How do you find or build your capacity to love your child even amidst very challenging circumstances? How do you build your capacity? Yeah, I know that you mentioned praying a lot. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the parents here? Jacqueline, would you like to go first? And then later we could go to Jeff and Tammy.
I think going back to knowing that God has loved me, that is one point. And because I prayed for Isabelle before I conceived her, so when I was given Isabelle, I cannot tell God I reject her because she's not perfect. Who am I to say that she is not perfect? Because she is perfectly made in God's eyes. So and I think from friends, because at that time my faith, I have actually backslided. But when I had Isabelle, who can I turn to? And God was there faithfully waiting for me. So I turned to Him. I asked Him for strength, and He has always filled me with that joy. Unknowingly, He fills me. He gives me that strength, and in every step of the way, He is there for me. I mean, He has sent me people to give me help so that I could take a break. Like we had a really good helper who was with us for 12 years. I mean, God sent her because I could not have managed handling Isabelle and her medical issues alone, although I stayed with my mom and sister-in-law. But then and again, I could depend on them so that if I needed short breaks, Isabelle could go to my sister-in-law for some playtime, something like that. So God really knew what I needed, and He provided even without my asking. So really, I would not be able to go through what I went through without God every step of the way. Yeah, and my faith actually grew. And from this experience, I mean, from Isabelle, my husband came to know God, and also my mother-in-law. So that was really a testimony to God.
Man, wow. Thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing. Yeah. How about Jeff and Tammy? How do you build your capacity to love Josiah over the years? Has there been special challenging moments that and what are some of the practical things that you would advise parents?
Yeah, I'll go first, Jeff. So for me, right, like what it says in the Bible, right, we love because He first loved us. So I learned to be a good receiver of love, you know, and that's I feel that that's so important, you know, like I stopped trying to be a superwoman and try to handle everything perfectly, you know, to a T. So it's like I really do accept help in whatever way. So it's like for example, my parents' place, you know, it's like I'm thankful that we get to sometimes put Josiah with his grandparents, and we know that it's like grandparents being grandparents, it will spoil the grandkids and then do all the things that parents are trying their best not to do. But I think is that, but we learn to accept help in whatever form, you know, because and being a good receiver to build ourselves and to be able to have time, you know, to be able to receive love from God, to be able to receive from His perspective. And I also receive a lot of love from Josiah himself, and I feel that that's really important. It's like, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, I learn so much from Josiah. Like God reveals Himself so much, you know, through my son. You know, it's like actually I see the way that Josiah loves Jeff and me. You know, it's like even though, you know, it's like sometimes we are so we don't have it all together and we mess up all the time. But I think it's that, you know, Josiah is the most forgiving person in the world, you know, and I'm learning to see how the way Josiah loves, right? I'm learning from him. So I feel that like I don't know whether that answered the question, but I just feel that we can learn to be a good receiver, and that helps us to build our capacity to love better.
Yeah. So because when you have autistic kids, it's like you're learning. It's like learning a new language. It's like he can't speak, so it's everything becomes non-verbal. So how you look, how you feel sad, he will know. You feel happy, he will know. You're pretending, he also know. I mean, that's they pick up things, like it's like empath. You pick up things,
so
and
sharp.
they're very sharp. And so because it's a non-verbal language, all of us have to readjust the way that we communicate with him. And so like for the first time, like he make a puzzle. So we introduced him a 4-piece one. So I mean, he put all the 4 pieces together, and suddenly when he finished, we our non-verbal language, we celebrate, yay, congratulations, you finished. And he got a shock, he was shocked of what's happening. But he can see that there was joy, and so then he moved on to 10. Every time when he finished, he will run to us and he will smile. Then we know the puzzle is finished, so we will run to the puzzle and say, yay! And so it went to 100, 250. Now he can do 1,000 pieces. It's like he is fast. He can do 1,000 pieces of puzzle. Like I can't do that. I will fail at that. But and that's important. And we didn't start by looking at the 4 and says, hey, yeah, it's only 4. Yeah, I can do better than you. It's just a 4-piece. Why celebrate, right? Why celebrate, right? If you are a parent and a kid draw you a rose that of course it doesn't look like a rose, and you look at a rose and say, I can draw better than that, you are not human. You have no compassion. But and what we do is we celebrate the small and say, wow, it looks like a rose, and let's draw it together. And that's God. He come into our chaos, and he doesn't take away the chaos. He make all things beautiful in the chaos. He paint a new picture together with us, and so that's why the joy of the Lord is a strength. So it's like as if our joy of celebrating with him, suddenly he got strength to move on to the 10-piece, or to the 15-piece, now 250 to 1,000. But it wouldn't happen if we don't celebrate the small beginning. And we try not to send out the wrong signals, and like a lot of people, they like when I say wrong signal, it's like I read about this. It's like it's actually a method that was developed in a Vietnamese concentration camp, where they realized that the guards, when they were too nice to the prisoners, they rebel. And when they are too hard on the prisoners, they also rebel. So they develop a system, right? That it's like a good cop, bad cop thing. So 3 days I will be I'll make you feel bad. Then the next day I will become a nice guy. So and the soldiers doesn't know what is it a good day or a bad day. So when they come, then they realize, okay, today is a bad day. So they'll behave bad. They will torture the people. And they realize, right, because they sing out mixed signals, right, that they totally, the prisoners totally are fearful of them. Because of the mixed signals, they live in fear. And so, and it's trying, if you are a parent, trying to send out mixed signals. Like, for example, a bad mixed signal will be, we tell our kid, hey, do your best in the exam, okay? Like, we just want you to do your best. And then suddenly when the kid comes back and you're driving home, then you turn around and says, how many points do you get? So that means there's a mixed signal there. Because for the first thing you tell me is you wanted me to do my best. I already did my best. Then now you're telling me that you're concerned about the results. So that actually that means you're actually concerned about results, but you disguise it in doing the word, do my best. So to the kid, it's a mixed signal. So that means trust level goes down, anxiety goes up, and relationship, faith in the relationship goes low. So and that's the thing. We because autistic kids are so good at picking up emotions. When you're sad, they also know. When you're really, they also know. But they also learn through emotions. So so that's one of the things that maybe will help you guys. Right?
Yeah, thanks for highlighting also that consistency is important. Yeah. Vanessa has raised her hand and she wants to unmute and ask her question. Vanessa, would you like to unmute and go ahead?
Hi everyone. My name is Vanessa. Thank you, Isabelle, Jacqueline, Jeff, and Tammy for the sharing today. My question is, I'm actually a parent with a special need kid. My son actually has verbal dyspraxia, where he's also non-verbal and he has partial hearing loss and also developmental delays. So I just want to ask, were there times, when, because our kids are different, sometimes in appearance or sometimes in their behaviors, were there times when your kids were growing up and they got teased by other kids, or they seem very different from other kids, and when they are in such social settings, how do you actually motivate or send confidence to your kids so as to allow them to grow up feeling that they can be confident just because they are different? Yeah, because I'm concerned about how am I to, share or bring out my kid, teaching him that just because he looks different or he's different, it doesn't mean that he is not capable or he is not wonderfully made. And I'm a believer, but my husband is not a believer. So sometimes also, like Jacqueline did say that sometimes, or Tammy did say, sometimes the journey can be rather lonely. Yeah. And also spiritually, I can only take it on my own. Yeah. So I just want to know if you guys have anything to share or advice. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your question, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Can I go first, please?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Tammy.
Okay, sure. So yes, I have countless experiences. It's like where the kids in the playground, they want to play with Josiah, but just Josiah like either ignores them totally or doesn't know how to behave around them, and then it's like Josiah, even to this day, he still makes sounds that would appear strange to people around them. So it's like but I realized that Josiah is very chill. What's very good about him is that he actually doesn't care. So it's like, to me, it's like I'm happy that it's like his feelings doesn't appear to get hurt. But the thing is that I have stepped in on several occasions, especially when I see like the kids like trying to bully him or make fun of him. It's like misunderstand him and just label him of low ability or something like that. And then I'll actually come in and try to like hey, like, hello, what's your name? It's like, oh, this is my son Josiah. And it's like, then they will like, for example, turn their attention to me and say, oh, what's wrong with him? Then I'll say, oh, nothing is wrong with him. Then I say, but why doesn't he speak? Why is he making that funny sound? Then I'll say, oh, actually, right, he's like he's got a superpower. Then I say, oh, really, what superpower? He said, yeah, he's like a baby X-Men. Do you watch the movie X-Men? Yeah, they got superpower, but because he's a baby X-Men, he's still learning how to control it. Something like that, so it's like I try to make the situation, and in a way it's like I try to bring them to understand that actually, like, special needs, right, it's something like they are very powerful one area, but there's another area which they're still growing at, and that doesn't make them like a bad person, just makes them a bit different, but actually all of us are capable, just that you may not realize it.
You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So that's one of the ways I did it,
They might spend 4 hours in school, but they spend 12 hours at home. So, and if you can create a culture that is in your home, that is empowering, that is safe. If you want, you're still trying to discover things. So, and to be creative in different things, and a safe place is necessary for a child, especially needs child, to open up, because you can't have creativity without freedom. So if you can create the environment, maybe it's unavoidable. You will get the evil stare of death in a shopping center when your kid act out and the parents stare at you. Like, let's smile at them, don't care. Like, I learned to be thick-skinned. You have to, like, you have to learn to be thick-skinned. And you know what? It's only a few hours in school, and they might get bullied and all that stuff. But when they're back home, make sure that the house environment is a safe place. Yeah.
Jacqueline or Isabelle, would you have any comments on the question?
Yes,
Yeah.
I cannot agree more with Tammy and Pastor Jeff. There will always be negative comments. Even when I brought Isabelle out as a baby with 2 tubes, I have people coming up speaking to me in dialect. Did you do something wrong when you were pregnant? Did you eat something wrong? Did you this? Did you that? Why is she like that? Why 2 tubes? What's wrong with her? They were very hurting initially, but I decided to turn a deaf ear to these comments. I turned it around and I said, there's nothing wrong with her. She's perfectly normal. Where's the problem? And the lady will turn to me and look at me like I'm crazy. It's like, can't you see the 2 tubes sticking out of her nose? I said, no, she's fine. She's beautiful. And I just move on. I carry on my day. So I don't allow negative comments like that to hurt me. So I have to be strong for her to receive such comments. But at the same time, I have also built her confidence to allow her to know that she is different. She cannot hear, she cannot do this, but at the same time, I can tell her, you can do this instead. Like you can sign, and it's a beautiful language. It's also your way of communicating with people. You don't only need to be able to speak to communicate. So you give her the negative side of what people see, but you give her the positive type of how you see things and how she can be creative about it. If the child were to label her, I mean, I have children running up, why she don't speak like that? Why her arms are like that? Why she only has 4 fingers? I said, yes, she has 4 fingers. Just like Mickey Mouse also has 4 fingers. I turn it around and they don't see it as a negative anymore. They will sort of laugh and say, yeah, Mickey Mouse has 4 fingers too. Why she doesn't speak? Then I said that because she is deaf and she speaks in a different language. She uses her hands. That's why I'm using my hands to communicate. And she's also able to communicate with me. So sometimes children, they don't know. They are just innocent and they can ask in a very harsh way. So it is part of my job as a mother to educate the child and help the child know that she is different, but yet she can still be the same if you see her in the positive way. I hope that answers your question.
I love it. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Tammy and Jeff. That's such a practical and an important message to get across, right? So what we're going to do now is I was hoping to get Tammy and Jeff just to share your final takeaways for parents and our audience here, and then Jacqueline and Izzy to do the same. And what we'll do is we'll have a close at 10 o'clock or slightly after 10 o'clock. But because our guests have also agreed to stay back after that for a maximum of 25, 30 minutes, and we'll have a hard close definitely at 10:30. So if there's there are some unanswered questions, we can take it afterwards. So Tammy and Jeff, if you could share some takeaways for parents who need to leave at 10.
Sure. I have learned along this way that actually parents, caregivers, you are the most powerful gift back to your children, and that the kind of authorities, the spiritual authority and the ability to bless, your child and to champion your child, right? It's like, I believe that God actually really picked you and your spouse, right? Because it's like you are the best choice that the Lord has selected for your child, even though you may not feel like it. But I think it's that I believe the Lord knows what He's doing. And the thing is that there are a lot of things that we have to learn on along the way. But I think it's that, just trust that it's like God picked you, and because He knows that you guys are the best for your child. You're the best, His best choice for your child. And the second thing that I just wanted to say is that I cannot overemphasize the importance, right, of really learning to see through God's eyes. Because it's like the world is full of all kinds of voices telling you what you should believe about your child, what you should be doing, that you like this, you like that. It's full of opinions, and it's very, very overwhelming, and the thing is, if we come to the place where we say, like, God, it's like, I want to see what you see, you know. And if there's something that I'm missing out, you know, it's like, God, I want you to show me, because it's like yours is the way, the truth, and the life, and I want to go on that path, you know. I want to be, your path is a path of peace, and I want to walk along with that with my child. And I just wanted to say that, like, praying and asking God to show you through his eyes is, for me, it's one of the most powerful things that's happened to me. It's changed my life, you know. It's like I was able to see hidden treasures in Josiah. And the thing is that, and at the same time, it's like God showed me so much about not just myself, but also the plans that he has for Josiah. You know, it's like, for one of the things that God showed me that took my breath away, for example, was that God showed me that Josiah is going to be like a TED Talk speaker, you know, and he showed me this at a time where he is totally nonverbal. You know, it's like, and that took my breath away, because it's like, it made me realize that how I actually was viewing things from a physical point of view, and I'm missing the treasure. You know, so I just want to say that, you know, wherever you're at right now, God can really meet you, and he can show you things that you were not able to see before from a heavenly perspective. And when you have that, I believe that your heart will be so lifted up. You will actually really receive so much life, the same way God has rescued me from a very dark place. And now, every time I need it, I say, God, show me what you see. And it's like every time I do that, it's like he brings me a lot of hope and life. So that's what I wanted to share.
Just two sentences. God loves you the way you are, not the way you're gonna be. He loves you the way you are. If God won't love you, what we're gonna only love us if we can be that in the future, that means we are dealing with a God that does not love us now. And that's the beauty of unconditional love. And only love that is unconditional has the power to change a condition, a person's condition. And you know what? There's a lot of things, and a lot of you will feel bad because maybe you think in your dreams or at night you feel like you're not doing enough. But if you keep feeling you're not doing enough, you're also looking at a child and says, well, maybe it's not enough. And you're trying to look for an end product. But you know what? If you think about the past, you drown in regrets. If you think about the future, you drown in worry. You know, and regret always connects you to the past. Worry connects you to the future, and both is non-tangible. And worry and regrets rob you away from enjoying the very present moment that you are with the child. It's a robber of time. Regret and worry is a robber of time. One is futuristic, one is the history. But you know, God is a very present help in time. He's present, and we need to focus on loving the kid present at the very present moment, unconditional love. Love him as a person, not a project to be finished. Yeah. So
I love it. Thank you, Tammy, to see through God's eyes, to ask God to show you what he sees. So it really just reinvigorates you, right? And gives you a new vision. And Jeff, on unconditional love, changing a condition, and to be present, not to be consumed by the past, worry, and worry for the future and regret of the past. Like for time, not just to be in a chronological order, but to be present, for time to be kairos and not just chronos, right? Okay, Jacqueline and Isabelle, do you have some final encouragement for our audience?
For me, every child is special. Every child is unique. See the child first. His special needs are secondary. And from Isabelle, she says, don't worry about how the child will turn out when he or she grows up. God has a purpose for every child. Your child is a gift. Just focus on giving your best for your child through loving, nurturing, caring, and really encouraging, supporting, and celebrating her or his abilities all the way. Your child will continue to surprise you, parents. God will guide you through your parenting journey. Yeah, I cannot agree with her more.
I love it. Surprise. They will surprise us. Wonderful. Okay, Jeff, can we just invite you just to close this section in prayer for those who have to leave, and for those who are available to stay, will stay on.
Right, let's pray. Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, that you are a very present help in time of need. And we can project our needs on different things and feel expectations and stuff, but you are very present. That we can call upon you and you are very present to help. That in this very present moment, we choose to love our children the way you love them. And Lord, you are a God that doesn't avoid chaos. You come into chaos and you paint the picture of our world together with us. You came to fix chaos through the cross. In the matter of fact, in Genesis 1, you begin work at night. So you are not afraid of confronting darkness. And so, Lord, we thank you, Lord, that, Lord, you come into our chaotic world and you start to make all things beautiful. That each parent that's represented here, your kid is a love song. We are God's workmanship. Poem, the word is poem. So, Lord, we thank you, Lord. It is a song that has not yet finished singing. And so, Lord, we thank you that you call off the end from the beginning and you already have a finished song over every single child that is suffering from autism tonight. And so, Lord, we thank you that made this, whatever we share, be an encouragement to them and give them strength, especially to see the child as they are and loving as they are right now at this very present moment. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Jeff. Thank you, everyone. Before you go, I just have a few more slides to share with you about what's coming up. But before that, if you have any other questions or if you'd like to be connected with any other resources, you can email us at familynight@saltandlight.sg, and we would be happy to support you. This session has been recorded as well as the previous family nights. So if you want to catch up on tonight's video and you want to share with your friends, the video will be out next Friday, okay? Next Friday on Salt and Light's YouTube channel. The past sessions are also there as well, so feel free to catch that. There will be timestamp on the video. I know the video is very long, 1.5 hours, but you can catch the key points by looking at the timestamps. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have another family night, and this time round, it's on managing finances as a Christian family. And we have got 3 fathers coming to share with us. We have got a pastor, Pastor Benny Ho, and we have got Dr. Tan Lai Yong to come and share with us, as well as Abel Ang, who is a CEO of a medical technology company. And so come and join us and learn about how we can manage, be good stewards of the finances that God has placed in our hands. Registration is now open, so you can just scan the QR code, okay, and it will be up on Salt and Light Salt and Light's Facebook page as well. And if you have benefited from tonight's session, do support the Ministry of Thirst Collective, which is responsible for, of course, Salt and Light that's hosting tonight's family night. They also produce articles for young adults under thirst, as well as various testimonies under Stories of Hope. And so if you want to join in the ministry and contribute financially, you can go to your internet banking and just scan the Pay Now, and you can go straight and be part of the ministry. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And before you go, can I encourage all of us to just put into the chat group, Zoom chat, what is one learning point that you took from tonight's conversations with the guests? Okay, what is one thing that God has spoken to you tonight? Can I encourage all of us to put into the group chat, and as well as if there's any encouragement, be it and to the guests, to Isabelle, or to fellow parents, okay, what would be one thing that you would encourage? Okay, put into the group chat, and when you're done sharing your thoughts, sharing your encouragement, thank you so much for being here. Okay, share what is one learning point, what is one thing that God has spoken to you on, and what is one encouragement that you would like to give either to the guests or appreciation to the guests. Okay, all right, thank you so much for being here.
Even as that is going on, maybe we can ask our guests, either Jacqueline or Tammy, Jeff, what are some celebration ideas that you guys can share? What do you guys do to celebrate little milestones, little progresses?
Okay. like Jeff and I, we are really good at whooping in celebration, and like Jeff he has strong muscle, so he actually like throws our son around, and
Not now. Like, I need to pray for healing myself.
Yeah, but it's like Jeff, Josiah loves rough and tumble, so it's like Jeff will do that, like do that just to really, it's like yeah, like the same way like how you won if in World Cup you win a soccer match, and the team goes into great jubilation. Yeah, something to that effect for Josiah. We try to celebrate him in whatever way we can, and if we can't throw him out, we will be whooping and shouting around the house. So it's like, it's very fun.
Bring him to he goes Parkway a lot. That's his reward.
We bring him like,
he likes staycation, and he's very picky about the hotel. Like, it cannot be cheap hotel, and that's probably that's going to be for my wallet, especially school holiday.
No, but the thing is that we do also celebrate with a lot of words of affirmation. It's like, we tell him how brilliant he is. It's like, and how he's so smart, and it's like, how he's the fittest person in the family, and then the kind of thing. It's like we just we heap praise on him, and he knows it. He knows he's very well loved.
That's great. Jacqueline, how do you guys celebrate little things?
We high five with her.
You're muted.
Sorry. We will high five with her when she's young. We will attend her performances. Words of affirmation. She loves hugs and kisses. She loves to dance. She loves reading, so we'll buy her books. Yeah, she's not a child that grew up with dolls and all that. It doesn't make her happy. I think she's not the dolly kind. So she likes to do coloring, different things, even taking her to the beach, playing with sand, building sand castles. That made her a lot of joy. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Simple.
Carol, you've got a question.
Yeah, that's right. The session is formally over. So for those of you who wants to go, I know it's past 10 already. You're free to go. But those who want to hang on for a few more questions, we are going to ask the next few questions that were not answered. Jeff and Tammy, there's a question about how do you decide, or how should a family with a child with autism decide whether to homeschool or go to a normal school? What were some of your considerations?
So autism, right? Autism is a spectrum. So which means to say that every child is different. They have different areas of challenge and things to focus on. So some children, they can be very, very eloquent, very articulate in their speech, but it's like they will struggle in other areas, like maybe socially, or they could be struggling with certain sensory things, like being overwhelmed, for example, by sound or smell. So I think that I won't say that there is a formula that you should homeschool or you should send your child to a normal school. I think that because like every child is so different, and also like not every parent, right? I would say is wired to be able to homeschool. I mean, it's like I take my hat off to, like, even when Alex, you're saying you're homeschooling, that I take my hat off to you. That is like, I believe that there is an anointing for homeschooling, and like Jeff and I, we find that it is not in our natural ability to be able to do that on a full-time basis, and so I think that I would like to say that I see myself more of like maybe like like a coach, or a manager of, let's say, like like how celebrities, they have a manager or coach, right, to be able to see what is best, for their child or the client in that case, right? So for me, it's like I'm seeing that what are the needs of Josiah at this present point, and how can they best be met? It's like, so to me, right, I may not have the ability, for example, to teach Josiah how to be able to do that well, and I will find the best person to be able to handle that area for me, but I am still very much aware of what will work for him. And so for some, if it brings you a lot of joy and life to homeschool your child, and because it's like you are the most engaged and most involved, I think that you should totally consider that. But if you can't, it's like you can still be fully present by seeing who can help your child, and to be able to plan all that together with your spouse and your child together. So that's my answer.
Yeah, you need to understand, like, the not going through the educational system is not a death sentence. And some of you for you, like, oh, it's detrimental, like it's blessed are the flexible. Yeah, blessed are the flexible, and you need to be very flexible in navigating around how what spectrum of autism he is in, or he or she is in, and to be flexible to navigate around it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Thanks. The next question has to do with families with more than one child, and of which one of them has special needs. How should a parent manage so that the siblings who do not have special needs don't feel less loved because more attention is given to the one with special needs? Do you have any thoughts on that, both Tammy and Jeff, as well as Jacqueline? I know that you have one child, but from your interaction with others or church members, what would be your advice or your encouragement?
Maybe Jacqueline can have a go. You've got another boy.
A younger boy. He's 5 years younger than Isabelle. I think with that 5 years gap, there's a little bit of a difference because of the age gap. But when my second boy came along, I had to take some of my time off from Isabelle to attend to him. But the good thing was Isabelle was in primary school, so I can give her some homework to do while I tend to my younger boy. But yes, my son, now that he's 21, he does complain to me that sometimes he doesn't get enough of my attention. I have explained it to him that I needed to give Jeje a little bit more of my attention so that I could help her be more independent in a way that she does not have to depend on him in the future. So hopefully that takes some of the pressure off him in having to think that he may have to look after Jeje when both hubby and myself is gone. So that is the angle that I explain it to him. So whenever I'm with him, I will give him as much of my attention. And when he's in school or he's occupied, I will give Isabelle the attention that she needs. But Isabelle is very, very understanding. She knows that I have given her a lot when she was the only child, and she has to share some of my attention with the younger brother. And she understands my position. But sometimes she will say, oh, I miss talking to you, I miss doing this and that. Just a little bit of grumbling, but she's okay.
Okay, thanks, Jacqueline. There's one more question specific to you, Jacqueline, about recommendation of the feeding therapist, if it's possible to share, because this parent has a daughter who also has a genetic disorder that requires Peg feeding. I'm not quite sure that
Okay.
term. Yeah. Yeah. Would you have a recommendation for a feeding therapist?
Well, when Isabelle was in primary school, we had a speech therapist there, and he gave me tips on Isabelle because we had to wait for an video fluoroscopy test before we could feed her. So while waiting for that, this speech therapist from school will give me the tips that I need to do. And once Isabelle was confident to do the test, we got an appointment from KK Hospital to do this test. The reason why we didn't continue very much at KK because the appointment was given once every 6 months. And each time when we go back, it's a different therapist because the last therapist has left. But at the same time, we also consulted another therapist privately that came to the home, but that's a bit costly. I don't have a particular feeding therapist to recommend because that was something like 20 years ago. But there's a place that you could check it out. It's called, what's that place again? Head Start, is it? Head Start. Oh, Head Start for Life. I think they are down at Upper East Coast Road. You can check them out. I hope that answers your question.
Great. Thanks, Jacqueline. We've got one question here. I wanted to ask you guys as well, say Tammy, you mentioned that, say at playground, when Josiah would get some disparaging remarks about how he's different and how you would intervene sometimes and how you explain and how you would reframe it. And that's so beautiful. We've got a question on Slido, and I was wondering the same thing. Does it get tiring after a while? Because unless we are crafting the structure to be something that is also helpful in order not to have to commit and recommit and have to explain to everybody, which is quite depleting, right, in terms of our resolve and our strength. How do you manage to do it? And in this case, the person who's asking the question actually has a sibling, has a child who is making disparaging remarks on his sibling. And it gets tiring after a while. It really does. I can imagine. Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like to me that that the sibling is actually crying out. This and that's probably the way that he's coping. It's like he's seeing that I can understand the tremendous stress, of being with in the company of a special needs child who is unsettled or just going through a very, very difficult stage. And for the sibling, I can understand the stress that he must be feeling, and that's his way of saying that he's probably at a stage where he's questioning a lot of things and wondering why it's like why is my special needs sibling such a problem and yet getting so much more attention, all the attention possibly from mommy and daddy, and I think that's a call for help. And I don't have an answer, but it's like I would probably have to ask God, can you show us, how can we come to the heart, like meet the need of the sibling, what exactly is the way that we can fill his love tank and meet that need, and bring him to be able to also see his sibling the way God is seeing. So I don't have an answer, but we probably have to ask God to give an answer, a solution. Yeah.
That's great. Jeff, anything to add?
Sibling rivalry is just competition. The difference between compete. We are there to complete a family unit. Yeah, it's the same as the kingdom of God. We are not there to compete against one another. We're there to complete one another. And I think it requires every single person's role to complete a whole family unit. Instead of looking at competition, is there a way possible to get everybody involved on that journey together? I think, and there's I understand that it is draining and it's tiring, and you also have to love yourself. Yeah, if you can't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. You only love the neighbor as yourself. And there's a 6-in-1 rhythm, even in creation, that God created everything in 6 days, and it's a 6-in-1 rhythm. That means one day and day 7 he rests. So anytime we kind of forego that 6-in-1 rhythm, we end up burning out ourselves, and that's not good. That means and one of the problem with Singapore is like, you say, oh, Sunday is my Sabbath, but honestly it's not, because Sunday you're worried about Monday's meeting and Tuesday's project and Wednesday. So in your mind, you're resting on Sunday, but your mind is thinking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That is not resting. And God's solution, even for us, as much as autistic children with parents with autistic kids, is like you have so many things to do. You always think that it's not enough, and you know what? And your body can't rest. And one of the ways that God kind of remedy that is the Sabbath. The bird still is alive. The world still evolve. And you know what? You rest one day, everything still move on. Just to tell you, you're not that important. and I think it's God's way to tell us, like, just take one day break, the world still evolve around. And I think it's also God's way of telling us that you cannot burn out ourselves. Yeah, you do what you can, and you need to remember your rhythm, your 6-in-1 rhythm. Hope that helps.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a very just real concern, right? I think all of us would have people in our lives where they are yet to walk in total obedience, ourselves included, people who frustrate us, people who are, say, walking in blatant sin or stuff like that. And I think I love the book of Romans for that reason. I think what Paul does is he then takes the argument to a higher plane, and he spends almost 11 chapters expounding about the person of Jesus Christ before he goes in chapter 12, do not be conformed to the ways of the world. And so just helping this older sibling perhaps see who Jesus is and how Jesus is like, instead of confronting that behavior and expecting him to change, but perhaps loving him like you guys are alluding to, and seeing whether there are any unmet needs, and just helping him understand how our Lord is like, before gently nudging him and encouraging him to love and accept like he does. Carol, is there anything else, or you're on mute, Carol?
Yep, sorry. I was just thinking that, since Jeff talked about rest, it's time for us to rest too. Yeah, it's really late. Thank you so much for staying beyond 10. And if you want to follow Isabelle and Jacqueline, they have actually put their Instagram handle in the chat function. So do go and support. Isabelle, if you want to put your website address there as well for them to check out your website with all the beautiful photos, you can also put into the chat, and then everyone can go and support Isabelle. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, that's Easy Shoots. She has already put it there. So thank you so much for making time. Let's wave and say thank you to our guests. Jeff and Tammy and Isabelle and Jacqueline, thank you so much for spending time with us and staying back for us. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you at the next Salt and Light Family Night, everyone. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Have a good rest. God bless. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeff and Tammy. Thank
Bye.
you,
Good night.
Isabelle and Jacqueline. Thank you. Good night.
Get some rest.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.
God bless you. Thank you for being here.
So nice meeting you, Isabelle. So nice meeting you.
Thank you, Isabelle.
Isabelle, you are such an inspiration to me. You know, I really enjoyed just even your conversation. I love your smile. I love how you are so expressive. Your ability to express your thoughts, and that inspires me because it's like watching you communicate and express that. Right, made me think about how I would so enjoy such conversations with my Josiah one day. Even as you were speaking, I'm imagining what Josiah expressing and telling me his thoughts the same way that you were able to do that. So thank you for encouraging and inspiring me, you know, by being yourself, you know. And I love your photography. It is so life-giving, you know. You are such an amazing inspiration to me.
True. It's so true.
And only praise God because that's the gift that God has given her. All of us communicate in different ways. So it doesn't matter which way that we are doing. And your story is really inspirational too.
Okay, thank you, everyone. It's really late. So yeah, have a good rest. Good night, everyone.
Good night, James.